Senator John Barrasso is the chairman of the Senate Republican Policy Committee and a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which is the committee that Ken was just talking about that is going to be getting a closed-door briefing later today. Senator, the prospect of President-elect Trump appearing to side with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange in a tweet came up in today's hearing. Listen with me, will you?
He is the one who's responsible for publishing names of individuals that work for us that put their lives in direct danger. Is that correct?
Yes, he has.
And do you think that there's any credibility we should attach to this individual, given his record of
Not in my view.
Senator Ken Delaney pointed out to us that while there are sometimes agreements between these 17 intelligence agencies, there's no disagreement about Julian Assange. None of them trust him. Do you agree with President-elect promoting Julian Assange's claim that he did not get the hacked emails from Russia?
I agree with John McCain. There is great concern here. We're going to go into this highly classified briefing within the next hour. A bipartisan group of senators on the Foreign Relations Committee, all of us are concerned about making sure that America is safe, America is strong, and America is secure, and we want to get to the bottom of this.
Senator, based on what you've already learned from intelligence officials and that which you can tell us, do you believe that Moscow is behind the recent attacks? And I don't mean Russians in general. I mean the government of Russia. Or do you still have questions that you need addressed about Russia's involvement?
No, I believe Russia is absolutely involved. And to me, it's two different tips of the iceberg, two different icebergs. One is the fact that I think Russia feels that they can go after us from a cyber standpoint because we have little deterrence. We don't have the policy for it. We don't have a president who's been focused on it. I think the response we've seen so far has been too little, too late, and Putin remains aggressive. But it's not just Putin, it's China and it's others. The other iceberg that I see out there is just Russia's aggression overall with regard to Crimea, with regard to eastern Ukraine, with regard to Syria, because when they sense weakness, they go where there is a void and they're very aggressive. And I think Putin is the one who's most aggressive.
Well, that's what your colleagues, John McCain and Lindsey Graham and Senator Klobuchar did. They spent their New Year's in the Baltic states and in Ukraine trying to draw attention to that very point, that we're all occupied with the hacking of the election. But in fact, Russia's doing a number of other things that might be alarming. Director Clapper says he would prefer sanctions to a cyber response for hacking. Given what you've just told me, the context that you'd like people to think about this in, what should we be doing?
Well, I think that any response to Putin has to be very aggressive as well as very timely. That cannot be delayed. If you want to deter somebody, you have to have the capacity to do that, and we have that capacity. You have to be committed to do it, and I'm not sure.
May I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
When you say when we have the capacity to do it, this is always a tricky one because they've got nuclear arms and we have nuclear arms, and no one's talking about that as an option. So what sort of capacity are you referring to? Economic sanctions?
Well, yeah. Economic sanctions immediate, but in addition to that, I mean, you have to have the commitment to use them, and you have to be communicating. They have to hear from you that we are willing to act. And what I believe that Putin and others around the world have been hearing from this administration over the past number of years is that we are not willing to act. When a red line in Syria is crossed and we do nothing, even though we made a pledge, that invites aggression all around the world. And that is that concern that I have about what's happening globally to us, that we are no longer, in my mind, the most respected and powerful country around the world, less respected, less powerful than we were over the last several years.
Senator, sources have been telling Casey Hunt that Donald Trump's response to his intelligence briefing tomorrow could have consequences for his cabinet nominees, including possibly Rex Tillerson, because of his strong ties to Russia and possible conflicts. What question would you ask of Rex Tillerson in his nomination process?
I met with the nominee yesterday for about 45 minutes with a very thorough discussion of a number of points from around the world. I think is absolutely ready to go in and take that position as Secretary of State and provide the leadership that we need globally to reassert America's power and strength and to regain
that tough
the respect
talk that you just said you wanted to see, a guy who's Russia's tight friend will be able to do that?
So I believe that Rex Tillerson is the right choice on this issue, knows the issues, knows the people, understands what leverage is all about, and we haven't seen that in this administration.
Senator John Barrasso, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.